The sky turned black over Seoul at 3 in the afternoon. It wasn't clouds or smoke. It was ships. Massive alien warships, each one the size of a mountain, floating in the air like they weighed nothing. The same thing happened over New York, London, Tokyo, Mumbai, and every other major city on Earth. 300 ships in total, blocking out the sun. Daewon stood in the command center deep beneath Seoul, watching the screens with growing dread. He was the commander of Earth's United Defense Force, but right now, that title felt meaningless. The alien ships had appeared without warning. No one had detected them coming. Earth's most advanced satellites hadn't seen a thing until the ships were already there. A message came through on every screen, every phone, every device on the planet. The translation was perfect, loaded directly into everyone's brain somehow. The voice was cold and mechanical. Humans of Earth. We are the Vrelith Empire. We have conquered 47 worlds. You will join them. You have 72 hours to surrender completely, kneel or be destroyed. There will be no negotiation. There will be no mercy if you resist, the message ended. Silence filled the command center. Daewon looked at his officers. They all knew the truth. Earth's weapons were nothing compared to this. Their missiles, their jets, their tanks, all of it was like throwing rocks at a battleship. Across the city, Hana was in her laboratory at the Global Animal Intelligence Institute. She wasn't watching the alien ships. She was watching something else, something strange. Her monitors showed data from animal observation stations around the world, and every single one was showing unusual activity. Dogs were howling, not random howling, but synchronized, like they were singing the same song at the exact same moment across different continents. Whales in the Pacific were calling to each other in patterns her computers had never recorded before. Birds were forming massive flocks, moving in shapes that looked almost like military formations. Hana's assistant ran into the room, panicking about the aliens, but Hana held up her hand. "Look at this," she said, pointing at her screens. "The animals know something. They're reacting to the threat, but not with fear. This is organized." In a military base outside the city, Tai Yang was gearing up with his Special Forces team. He was one of Earth's best soldiers, trained for impossible missions. But this was beyond impossible. His German shepherd Thunder sat beside him. Thunder had been his partner for 5 years, trained for combat and rescue operations. But something was different about Thunder today. The dog was staring at the tactical maps on the wall, the ones showing where the alien ships were positioned. Thunder's eyes were moving, tracking, analyzing. Then the dog looked at Tai Yang and made a sound. Not a bark, not a whine, but something that sounded almost like he was trying to speak. Tai Wing knelt down. "You understand, don't you? You know what's happening?" Thunder pressed his head against Tai Yang's chest. The soldier felt something strange, a feeling, an emotion that wasn't his own. It was coming from Thunder. It was determination. It was readiness for battle. Down at the coast, Yuna was with her research team studying dolphins. She had been a marine biologist for 10 years, and she thought she knew everything about dolphin behavior. But today the dolphins were doing something impossible. A cargo ship had capsized during the panic of the alien arrival. 30 sailors were in the water, drowning. Before any rescue boats could reach them, the dolphins arrived. But they weren't just helping, they were coordinating. Groups of dolphins worked together with perfect timing, pushing sailors to shore, supporting the injured, even forming barriers to protect them from debris. Yuna watched through her binoculars, her hands shaking. The dolphins were using their sonar in patterns she'd never seen. Every pulse seemed to have meaning, like language, like commands. And strangest of all, the patterns were jamming the small alien drones that were scanning the ocean. "They're fighting back," Yuna whispered. "The dolphins are already fighting back." Back in the command center, Daewon received reports from around the world. The stories were all the same. Animals were acting strange, organized, aware. He called Hana and asked her to come to the command center immediately. When she arrived, Hana brought her data. She showed Daewon the synchronized patterns, the coordinated movements, the impossible behaviors. "I think," she said carefully, "that the animals are responding to the threat. Not just reacting, responding. Like they understand what's at stake." Daewon stared at the data. It was crazy. It was impossible. But he had seen enough impossible things today. "Can we use this?" he asked. "I don't know," Hana admitted. "I don't even understand what this is yet." The 72 hours ticked down. The world's leaders argued about what to do. Some wanted to surrender immediately. Others wanted to fight even knowing they would lose. The aliens waited silently in their ships, confident and patient. Taeyang's team was ordered to scout one of the landed alien craft. They moved through the forest quietly, Thunder leading the way. But they weren't alone. Other animals moved with them. Wolves appeared from the trees, walking parallel to the soldiers. Birds flew overhead in formation, clearly watching for threats. A family of bears blocked a path, then deliberately redirected the team around an alien patrol they hadn't seen. "Sir," one of Taeyang's soldiers whispered, "the animals are helping us." "They're actually helping us," Taeyang nodded slowly. He could feel it now, stronger than before. A connection, a bond. It was like Thunder's thoughts were touching his own, and through Thunder he could sense the other animals. They were all connected somehow, and they were all angry about the invaders. On the last day before the deadline, Daewon made his decision. He contacted the other world leaders. "We don't kneel," he said. "Humanity doesn't kneel. Send the message to the aliens. Tell them Earth refuses." The message was sent. The aliens responded immediately. Their ships powered up weapons that could burn continents. The bombardment would begin in 1 hour. Hana watched her monitors as animals around the world began moving toward cities. Millions of them. Billions. All moving with purpose. Taeyang stood with Thunder and his team, ready for the end. Yuna watched as every whale and dolphin in the ocean began swimming toward the alien ships hovering over the water. The hour passed. The aliens fired their weapons, and Earth's animals made their move. The war had begun. The first alien weapon fired at New York City, a beam of pure energy that could vaporize everything in a 10-mile radius. But it never reached the ground. Millions of birds filled the sky. Sparrows, pigeons, crows, hawks, eagles. Every bird in a 100-mile radius flew directly into the beam's path. They died instantly, vaporized by the heat. But there were so many of them, so tightly packed that their bodies absorbed the energy. The beam scattered, weakened, and finally dissipated. The city below was saved. The sky rained ash. Daewon watched the satellite footage in shock. "They sacrificed themselves," he said. "The birds sacrificed themselves to save the city." It happened again over Tokyo, over London, over Mumbai. Every time the aliens fired their weapons, animals threw themselves into the path. Bats, insects, birds, creatures that could fly became living shields, but it wasn't just random. Hana's computers tracked the patterns. The animals were calculating. They used just enough numbers to stop each weapon, no more than necessary. They were conserving their strength while protecting human cities. "This is coordinated," Hana said, her voice shaking. "Something is coordinating all of them. Every animal on Earth is connected." The aliens changed tactics. Their ships descended lower, trying to bombard from closer range where birds couldn't reach in time. That's when the ocean animals made their move. Yuna stood on the beach watching something impossible. Hundreds of dolphins and whales were beaching themselves deliberately. They positioned their bodies beneath the low-flying alien ships, then did something that made no scientific sense. Every whale and dolphin released a pulse. Not sound, something else. Electromagnetic energy, generated by their bodies somehow. The combined pulse from hundreds of marine mammals hit the alien ships like an invisible hammer. Shields flickered and died. Engines sputtered. 3 alien ships crashed into the ocean. How? Yuna shouted into her radio. How are they doing this? Whales don't generate electromagnetic pulses, but they did now. Something had changed. Something had awakened in Earth's animals. The aliens landed ground forces, armored soldiers with weapons that could cut through tank armor. They marched toward cities expecting easy victory over primitive humans. They met wolves instead. Taeyang watched from his position as hundreds of wolf packs emerged from forests worldwide. But these wolves didn't attack wildly. They used tactics, real military tactics. Some packs drew the alien soldiers into ambushes. Others flanked around the sides. A few packs deliberately sacrificed themselves as distractions, while other wolves struck at weak points in the alien armor. "They're using squad-level tactics," Taeyang said in disbelief. "The wolves are fighting like trained soldiers." Thunder barked once, sharp and clear. Taeyang felt it again, that connection. Images flooded his mind. Not his memories, but Thunder's. He saw the battle from the dog's perspective. He understood the plan before it happened. "I can see what he sees," Taeyang whispered. I can see what Thunder sees. His team members reported the same thing. The soldier with the hawk could see through the hawk's eyes. The one with the tracking dog knew exactly where enemies were hidden. The bond between humans and animals was becoming something more than companionship. It was becoming a weapon. Elephants appeared in African cities, forming living walls around hospitals and schools. Their thick skin absorbed bullets and energy blasts. They didn't attack. They simply stood as shields protecting the vulnerable. Bears in Russia and North America attacked alien supply lines. They moved at night, striking with precision at fuel depots and ammunition stores. The aliens tried to track them, but the bears seemed to know where every camera and sensor was positioned. Hana worked frantically in her lab, trying to understand what was happening. She ran DNA tests, brain scans, energy readings. Finally, she found it. It's the bond, she explained to Diwan over video call. 10,000 years of living together. Humans domesticated dogs, cats, horses. We lived alongside wolves, bears, whales. We evolved together. Our brains developed mirror neurons that let us understand each other. That understanding created a connection, a psychic link that's always been there, just sleeping. And the alien threat woke it up? Daewon asked. Exactly. The existential danger to Earth activated something in our shared evolution. Now humans and animals can share thoughts, coordinate actions. We've become one fighting force the aliens didn't understand. Their databases held information on thousands of species, but only the intelligent, tool-using ones. They had never studied Earth's animals because their doctrine said only sapient beings mattered. That arrogance was killing them. Ji-Wan, a sniper in Tai Yang's unit, took position on a rooftop with her hawk Sharp Eye. She didn't need to look through her scope. She looked through Sharp Eye's eyes as the hawk soared above the battlefield. The hawk spotted an alien commander 2 miles away. Ji-Wan aimed and fired, guided by the hawk's perfect vision. The shot was impossible by human standards. But it hit perfectly. Min Seo, the demolitions expert, sent her trained rats into alien bunkers. The rats carried tiny explosive charges, placed them exactly where structural supports were weakest, and escaped before detonation. Entire alien fortifications collapsed. Sang-Min led his wolf pack in coordinated attacks. The wolves understood complex commands now. They could distinguish between enemy types, prioritize targets, and execute flanking maneuvers that would make any general proud. The battle for Tokyo became legendary. Ho Seong, a naval officer, coordinated with trained orcas. The massive whales attacked alien ships from below, using their strength and intelligence to rip open hulls. They worked with human submarines, sharing sonar data through the psychic bond. Yunji controlled a murder of crows, thousands of them. The crows dove at alien soldiers, going for the gaps in armor, the weak points in helmets. Each crow knew exactly where to strike because they shared tactical information through the bond. The Vrelith admiral, Kenthor, watched his forces fall back in confusion. This wasn't possible. Primitive beasts couldn't coordinate planetary defense. They couldn't use strategy and tactics. What are we fighting? He demanded of his science council. His advisors had no answers. They had never studied Earth's animals. Why would they? Animals were just animals. But these animals were different. These animals had humanity fighting beside them. The tide was turning. For the first time since the invasion began, the aliens were losing ground. Then the message came from the Vrelith Empire's core worlds. Reinforcements were coming. 5,000 warships. They would arrive in 1 week. Earth had won the first battle. But the war was far from over. Daewon gathered his commanders, human and animal both. Through the bond, they could all communicate now. Dogs, cats, dolphins, horses, all of them sat in the command center linked to their human partners. We have 1 week, Daewon said. 1 week to prepare for an enemy we can't possibly defeat. Thunder looked at Tae Yang. Through the bond, the dog sent a simple message. Together. Win together. The message spread through every bonded pair on Earth. Win together. Fight together. Die together if necessary, but never kneel. Daewon stood in the newly established war room, a place that looked like no military command center in history. Human officers worked alongside animals. Dogs lay beside tactical display tables, their eyes tracking troop movements. Cats perched on computer stations, somehow understanding the data on screens. A dolphin named Wave Rider communicated through a special water tank with translation equipment, coordinating ocean-based operations. It had been 3 days since Earth's animals joined the fight. 3 days of impossible victories against the Vrillith forces. But everyone knew the real test was coming. 5,000 enemy warships would arrive in 4 days. Hana presented her findings to the War Council. "I understand it now," she said. "The bond isn't just psychic, it's biological. When humans domesticated animals, we didn't just train them. We changed each other's brains. Human mirror neurons evolved to understand animal behavior. Animal brains developed new structures to understand human commands." She showed brain scans on the large screen. Human and dog brains side by side with matching patterns lighting up in the same areas. "We've been evolving together for 10,000 years. The threat to Earth triggered something, like a switch being flipped. All that evolutionary connection activated at once. Bora, a young researcher who had been studying the bond's physics, added more information. It's quantum entanglement on a massive scale. Every human who has ever bonded with an animal, through pets, through work, through any meaningful connection, created a quantum link. Those links were dormant, now they're active. So what does this mean for the battle?" Taewon asked. "It means we can coordinate on a level the aliens can't match," Hana said. "They have technology. We have something they don't. Perfect unity between species." Taeyang's missions had grown bolder. His team now included specialists with different animal partners. Sangmin brought his wolf pack, 12 wolves who moved like a special forces unit. Yunji commanded her crows, using them for reconnaissance and psychological warfare. Hoshung's orcas controlled the seas, destroying any alien forces that tried to use Earth's oceans. Their target today was a Vrillith command center in the mountains. Intelligence said Admiral Kenthor himself was there. They moved through the forest in complete silence. Thunder led the way, his senses enhanced by the bond. Through Thunder's awareness, Taeyang could smell the alien guards before seeing them. He could hear their breathing. He could sense their positions. The wolves spread out, surrounding the facility. The crows flew high, watching for patrols. When the moment was perfect, they struck. It was beautiful in its coordination. Wolves took down guards without making a sound. Crows dive-bombed sensors, destroying them with precise strikes. Thunder led Taeyang directly to the command center's weak point, a ventilation shaft the aliens thought was too small for humans. But rats could fit. Min Seo's trained rats carried micro-explosives through the shaft, placing them on the power core. The explosion would be small but perfectly positioned. They captured Admiral Kenthor alive. The alien commander stared at them in disbelief. "You coordinate with beasts," he said through his translator. "How is this possible?" "They're not beasts," Taeyang replied. "They're our family. They've been our family for 10,000 years. You just never bothered to look." Meanwhile, Yuna was achieving miracles in the ocean. Her work with whale pods had evolved into something extraordinary. The whales weren't just following commands, they were innovating. A group of blue whales had learned to create acoustic weapons. Their songs, precisely tuned and coordinated, could shatter Vrillith armor. The sound waves vibrated at frequencies that resonated with the alien metal, literally tearing it apart. Yuna watched from a research vessel as 20 blue whales sang in perfect harmony. The sound was beautiful and terrible. An alien submarine imploded under the pressure, its hull cracking like glass. "They taught themselves this," Yuna said to her team. "I didn't train them to do this. They figured it out on their own, then taught it to other whales through the bond." The dolphins had developed something even more surprising. They created a written language. Using their beaks, dolphins drew symbols in sand on ship hulls anywhere they could make marks. Each symbol meant something specific. Commands, warnings, information. Yuna's team was frantically documenting it, creating a human dolphin dictionary. One dolphin, named Swift Fin, drew a complex diagram in the sand. When translated, it was a battle plan for attacking the next wave of alien forces. A battle plan that was actually brilliant. They're not just fighting with us, Yuna realized. They're thinking with us, planning with us. In Africa, elephants demonstrated engineering skills. A bridge had been destroyed by alien bombardment, cutting off a human city from supplies. The elephants rebuilt it. They used their trunks to move massive logs, positioning them with precision. They tested weight distribution, making adjustments based on mathematical principles they somehow understood through the bond. Within 2 days, the bridge was functional. Jiwon's partnership with Sharp Eye, her hawk, had become legendary among soldiers. She could see through the hawk's eyes from miles away. More than that, Sharp Eye could understand complex tactical situations and make decisions independently. During one battle, Sharp Eye spotted an ambush being prepared for Jiwan's unit. The hawk didn't just report it, he solved it. Sharp Eye flew to a nearby wolf pack, communicated the danger through the bond network, and guided the wolves to flank the ambush. By the time Jiwan's unit arrived, the enemy was already defeated. The animals are becoming strategists, Jiwan reported to Daewon. They're not just following orders. They're making tactical decisions on their own. But the victories came with a terrible price. Animals died by the thousands every day. Horses carrying supplies through dangerous zones. Dogs detecting bombs and triggers. Birds on reconnaissance missions. Each death hit hard because of the bond. Humans felt it when their animal partners died. The psychic connection meant they experienced the death, the pain, the final moments. Tae Yang held Thunder close after a mission where 3 of Sang-min's wolves had been killed. "I felt them die," Sang-min said, tears streaming down his face. "I felt all 3 of them die." The bond was a weapon, but it was also a wound. Hana worked to understand the limits of the bond. Could it be expanded? Could more animals be brought into the network? Her research showed that any animal who had ever had meaningful contact with humans could potentially join. That meant billions of creatures worldwide. "We're not just defending Earth with domesticated animals," she explained to Daewon. "Wild animals are joining too. Animals that have lived near humans even if never tamed. The bond recognizes shared history, shared space, shared evolution." Reports came in of wild tigers in India fighting alongside soldiers, mountain lions in America guarding evacuation routes. Even insects were joining the fight. Bees and wasps attacking alien soldiers in coordinated swarms. But Bora discovered something troubling. "The bond is using energy," she said. "Biological energy, electromagnetic energy, something we can't quite measure. The more we use it, the more it costs. The animals are burning through their life force to maintain the connection." "How long can they sustain it?" Daewon asked. "Unknown. But if the bond stays active at this intensity, weeks maybe, months at most." 4 days until the Armada arrived. Earth had grown stronger, but so had the cost. Every animal fighting was burning their life energy. Every human bonded to them felt the strain. Tae Yang sat with Thunder, feeling the dog's exhaustion through the bond. Thunder was tired. All the animals were tired. But none of them would stop fighting. Through the bond, Thunder sent a feeling more than words. Determination. Love. Protection. The bond had awakened because of danger, but it stayed strong because of love. That's what the Vrelith would never understand. This wasn't just military coordination. This was family defending family. This was love turned into a weapon. The question now was whether love would be enough against 5,000 warships. The victory broadcast played on every screen. Earth was winning. Humans and animals fighting together, pushing back the mighty Vrelith Empire. People celebrated in the streets, but in the command center, Daewon stared at the casualty reports. 15 million birds dead, 3 million dogs, hundreds of thousands of dolphins and whales, countless other animals whose sacrifices had saved human lives. Hana sat beside him, her face pale. "Are we using them?" she asked quietly. "Are we exploiting our companions to save ourselves?" "They chose to fight," Daewon said, but his voice was uncertain. "Did they? Or did the bond force them to protect us?" It was the question that haunted everyone. The animals fought with intelligence and purpose, but was it their own free will? Or was the psychic connection compelling them somehow? Bora had discovered something that made it worse. The bond wasn't just using energy, it was consuming it. Every animal connected to the network was burning their life force faster than normal. Fighting shortened their lives by years. Even animals not in direct combat were aging faster because of the connection. "We're killing them just by being bonded to them," Bora said, showing the data. "Slowly, but we're killing them." The Vrelith Armada would arrive in 1 day. Intelligence analysis was brutal. 5,000 warships, each one more powerful than the 300 ships in the first wave. Earth's current forces couldn't win. Not even with the bond, but there was one possibility. One desperate plan. Kyung-soo, a young researcher working with Bora, had found it in the data. "The bond is planetary scale now," he explained. "Every animal on Earth is connected, even if weakly. If we could synchronize them all at once, create one massive pulse of psychic energy, we could potentially disable every Vrelith ship in the solar system. What would it cost?" Day-One asked, though he already knew the answer. The energy required would kill millions of animals, maybe billions. It would be like setting off a bomb made of life force. Silence filled the room. That was the choice. Let Earth be destroyed or sacrifice billions of animals to save it. We can't make that decision, Hana said. We can't choose to kill them. Then who can? Day-One asked. Tae-Yang stood up. They can. The animals can choose. Through the bond network, the question was posed to every animal connected. Every dog, cat, horse, bird, whale, dolphin, elephant, wolf, bear. Every creature that had joined the fight. Should we use the pulse? Should we sacrifice millions to save Earth? The answer came back within hours. Through the bond, through feelings and images and shared understanding, the animals voted. Yes, they chose sacrifice. Thunder pressed against Tae-Yang's leg. Through the bond, the dog sent clear emotions. Pride, love, and acceptance of what was coming. Thunder knew he would die in the pulse. He chose it anyway. Around the world, animals began moving to resonance points. Places where the bond was strongest. Ancient sites where humans and animals had lived together for thousands of years. Sacred groves. Migration routes. Old battlefields where humans and horses had fought side by side. Min-seo and her husband Jae-hyun, a veterinarian, watched their family of rescue dogs prepare to leave. 7 dogs they had saved from death, nursed to health, loved as family. All 7 were going to the resonance points. Stay, Min-seo begged. Please stay. We can't lose you. But the dogs had chosen. Through the bond, they shared their reasoning. If they didn't fight, everyone would die. Humans and animals both. This way, some would survive. Life would continue. Jae-hyun knelt, hugging each dog. Thank you, he whispered. Thank you for loving us enough to do this. Yuna stood on the beach watching pods of whales and dolphins swimming toward deep ocean resonance points. Wave Rider, the dolphin she had worked with for years, surfaced one last time. Through the bond, Wave Rider sent memories, swimming with Yuna, learning together, teaching each other, joy and discovery, love and partnership. I'm sorry, Yuna said, tears streaming. I'm sorry we couldn't find another way. Wave Rider's response was clear. No sorrow, only purpose, only love. She once said goodbye to Sharp-Eye on a mountain peak. The hawk would fly to a resonance point and never return. Through the bond, she felt the hawk's fierce pride. Sharp-Eye had protected his human. That was enough. That was everything. Sang-min sat with his wolf pack one final time. 12 wolves, each one a warrior, each one family. They had hunted together, fought together. Now they would die together. The alpha wolf, Scar-Ear, licked Sang-min's face. Through the bond, pack protects pack, always. Hana couldn't stop crying as she finalized the pulse calculations. Every number represented lives. Every variable meant death, but the animals had chosen. They had voted with full knowledge of the cost. Why? She asked Thunder, who was resting near her station. Why choose this? Thunder's response came through the bond, clear and simple. Images of humans and dogs through history, hunting together, protecting each other, evolving together. The bond was 10,000 years old. It was worth protecting. The resonance points were ready. Millions of animals gathered at each one. The calculations showed it would work. One synchronized pulse from every bonded creature on Earth. All their life force released at once. The Vrelith Armada appeared on sensors. 5,000 ships emerging from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. They would reach Earth in 6 hours. Day-One gave the order. Begin the pulse sequence. Around the world at precisely the same moment, the animals gathered at resonance points began. They didn't die immediately. The pulse built slowly, their life force merging, combining, amplifying. Tae-Yang held Thunder. The dog was shaking, not from fear, but from the energy building inside him. Every animal in the world was experiencing the same thing. Min-seo and Jae-hyun held each other, feeling their dog's presence through the bond. Still alive, still there. But fading, Yuna stood in the ocean, feeling Wave Rider's consciousness burning bright, then brighter, then impossibly bright. The pulse reached critical point. For one moment, every animal on Earth was connected perfectly. One consciousness, one purpose, one final act of love. Kyung-soo watched the readings. Pulse in 3, 2, 1, the world turned white. Not with light, but with pure life energy. Every human bonded to an animal felt it, the moment of perfect unity, followed by the terrible silence of loss. In space, the Vrelith Armada detected something impossible. a wave of psychic energy, expanding from Earth at the speed of light. Before they could react, it hit them, every ship's power system overloaded. The psychic energy interfered with their technology, burned out their computers, disabled their weapons. 5,000 warships went dark simultaneously. Admiral Kenthor, in captivity, felt it too. The pulse of consciousness so powerful it reached even those not part of the bond. He understood then. Humans hadn't won with weapons or technology. They had won with love, with sacrifice, with the bond between species that the Vrelith could never understand. The pulse faded. The white light dimmed. Silence fell across Earth. Taeyang opened his eyes. Thunder was still in his arms, still breathing. Alive. Exhausted beyond measure, but alive. Around the world, humans checked on their animal companions. Some had died, giving everything to the pulse, but most had survived. The calculations had been precise. Just enough life force to disable the armada, just enough survival to preserve Earth's animal population. 30% casualties, billions of animals dead, entire species reduced to endangered numbers. But Earth was saved. Daewon slumped in his chair. They had won. The price was terrible, but they had won. Hana held a surviving cat, one of the research animals from her lab. The cat purred weakly. Through the fading bond, one last message. Worth it. You were worth it. That's when Hana understood. The animals hadn't been forced by the bond. They had chosen because that's what family does. That's what love means. You sacrifice for those you love. Always. Even when it costs everything. 3 months after the pulse, Earth was still counting the dead. Memorial gardens had been built in every city, every town, every village. Each garden held the same inscription in every language. They were never our possessions. They were always our family. Taeyang visited the garden in Seoul every morning. Thunder walked beside him, moving slower than before. The pulse had aged every surviving animal. Thunder had lost years of life in that moment. But he was alive, and that was enough. The Vrelith armada floated dead in space. Disabled ships, crews alive but powerless. Earth's forces had boarded them, taken the survivors prisoner. Admiral Kenthor and his officers awaited trial. But something unexpected had happened after the pulse. The bond hadn't disappeared. Everyone expected it to fade once the threat was gone, but it remained. Weaker than during the war, but still present. Still real, and the animals had changed. Dogs could speak now. Not perfectly, but they could form words. Simple sentences. Thunder looked at Taeyang and said in a rough, halting voice, "Good morning, friend." Taeyang had cried the first time he heard it. His dog, his companion speaking, sharing thoughts with words, not just feelings. Dolphins had developed written language fully. Yuna's team had documented over 3,000 symbols, each with specific meanings. Wave Rider, having survived the pulse, was writing a history of the war from the dolphins' perspective. Elephants were engineering. In Africa, they were building structures, creating tools, solving problems that would challenge human engineers. They weren't just smart, they were innovative. Hana presented her findings to the Galactic Council. Yes, there was a council. After Earth's victory, dozens of species had emerged from hiding, species that had been conquered by or hiding from the Vrelith. They formed a council to rebuild galactic civilization. Earth's presentation was unique. Daewon stood at the podium, but he wasn't alone. Thunder stood beside him. Wave Rider appeared via hologram. An eagle named Sky Dancer perched on a stand. Representatives from a dozen species, half of them animals. Earth doesn't come to you as a single species, Daewon said. We come as a collective civilization. Humans and animals, evolved together, bonded together, fighting together. We ask for recognition not just for humanity, but for our companions. The council chambers erupted in debate. This was unprecedented. Multiple species sharing one civilization, animals with intelligence equal to their human partners. Hana showed the evidence. Brain scans, DNA analysis, historical records of 10,000 years of coevolution. We were never separate, she explained. We grew together. The bond just made it obvious. A council member, a being from a species of telepathic crystals, asked the key question. If we recognize your animals as sapient beings, what happens to pets? To domestication? To the whole structure of your society? Taeyang answered. We're figuring that out. Dogs still want to live with humans, they told us so. But now it's a choice, not ownership. Horses still work with us, but as partners, not property. Everything is changing. The council debated for 3 days. Finally, they voted. Earth became the first multi-species sovereign world. Humans and animals would share governance, share representation, share everything. Back on Earth, the changes continued. Minseo and Jae-hyun opened the first interspecies school. Human children and young animals learned together. Mathematics, science, language, hunting, tracking, swimming. Each species taught what they knew best. The rescue dogs who had survived the pulse now worked as teachers. They taught survival skills, loyalty, courage. One dog, a German shepherd named Braveheart, taught a course on tactical thinking that human military officers attended. Yuna led the creation of the Ocean Parliament. Whales, dolphins, and humans governing the seas together. Their first act was to ban all fishing practices that harmed intelligent sea life. Their second was to start exploring the deep ocean together, combining human technology with cetacean knowledge. Wave Rider became the first dolphin ambassador to other worlds. He traveled via specially designed water-filled spacecraft, representing Earth's marine species to the galaxy. Bo-ra and Kyung-soo continued studying the bond. They discovered it could grow stronger with practice. Humans and animals could deepen their connection, share more complex thoughts, even share skills. Ji-won discovered she could borrow Sharp-Eye's vision permanently now. She saw the world with hawk-like clarity. Sharp-Eye, in turn, could access Ji-won's abstract thinking, understanding concepts like mathematics and philosophy. "We're becoming something new," Bo-ra said in a research presentation. "Not human, not animal, but both. A hybrid consciousness that's greater than the sum of its parts." Sang-min's work with wolves led to the formation of the Interspecies Defense Force. Wolves, dogs, humans, even some bears and big cats, training together for Earth's protection. They learned each other's strengths, covered each other's weaknesses. The memorial gardens grew. Every day more names were added, more animals honored. Taeyang made sure Thunder's future grave was reserved next to his own. When the time came, they would rest together, as they had lived. 6 months after the pulse, Admiral Kenthor stood trial before the Galactic Council. He was charged with war crimes across 47 worlds. The evidence was overwhelming, but before sentencing, he asked to make a statement. The council allowed it. "I have conquered worlds," Kenthor said, his voice heavy with something that might have been regret. "I have studied every sapient species in this galaxy. I understood their strengths, their weaknesses, their breaking points. I never lost a war." He paused, looking at the Earth delegation, humans and animals standing together. "Until Earth. I didn't lose because of superior weapons. I didn't lose because of better tactics. I lost because I never understood what strength really means." He pointed at Daewon and Thunder. "That bond, that love between species, that's power beyond any weapon. The Vrelith conquered 47 worlds because we were strong. Earth defeated us because they were united." "You studied every sapient species," Hana said, "but you never studied Earth's animals. That was your mistake." Kenthor nodded slowly. "We saw only humans. We missed that Earth's true strength was that humans were never alone. Your species evolved together. You love together. You die together." He looked at the council. "Whatever punishment you give me, I accept. But let my failure be a lesson. Strength isn't domination, it's unity." The council sentenced him to life imprisonment, but his words spread across the galaxy. Earth became famous not for defeating the Vrelith, but for showing what true civilization could be. 1 year after the war, Earth launched its first interstellar colony ship. The ship carried 500 humans, 300 dogs, 200 cats, 100 horses, 50 dolphins in special tanks, and representatives from a dozen other species. They would build a new world together, humans and animals sharing the work, sharing the governance, sharing the future. Taeyang stood at the launch site with Thunder. The old dog was graying now, aged beyond his years by the pulse, but his eyes were bright. "Will you go?" Taeyang asked. "Will you join the colony?" Thunder looked at the ship, then back at Taeyang. Through the bond, his answer was clear. "Where you go, I go, always." That was the bond's truth. Not domination, not ownership, partnership, family. Hana finished her final report to the Galactic Council. It would become required reading for every species in the galaxy. The title was simple: Earth's Lesson, How Love Became the Strongest Weapon. In the report's conclusion, she wrote, Humanity's greatest achievement wasn't technology, art, or science. It was recognizing that we were never meant to walk the universe alone. Our companions, the animals who evolved beside us, fought beside us, died beside us, were always meant to walk beside us among the stars. The Vrelith invasion didn't just save Earth. It showed the galaxy what true civilization looks like. Not one species dominating others, but different species unified by choice, by love, by mutual respect. Earth doesn't offer the galaxy advanced weapons or superior technology. We offer something more valuable, proof that different forms of intelligence can live together, work together, evolve together. The age of humanity has ended. The age of humanity's companions has begun. Day One stood in the rebuilt Sol Command Center. His advisory council was in session. 3 humans, 2 dogs, 1 dolphin via hologram, 1 eagle, and 1 wolf. Together they planned Earth's future. On the wall was the new Earth flag. A blue planet surrounded by silhouettes, human, dog, cat, horse, whale, bird. All equal. All united, Thunder sat beside Day One's chair. The dog was old now, tired. But through the bond, Day Young felt his companion's satisfaction. They had won. Earth was safe. The bond was eternal. Outside, children played in the memorial gardens. Human children and wolf pups running together. A boy threw a ball and a young dolphin in a nearby pool caught it, tossing it back with perfect aim. A girl climbed a tree guided by a helpful crow who showed her the best branches. This was Earth now. This was humanity's future, not alone but together. Never alone. Always together. The aliens had ordered Earth to kneel. Instead, they awakened something the galaxy had never seen. They awakened love. They awakened unity. They awakened the truth that had always been there. Humanity's companions weren't servants or pets or tools. They were family. They had always been family.